Your past is just a story, and you have to know the past to understand the present. And this is going to relate to the Cody Rhodes first championship reign and his contenders to help finish the past story that Cody Rhodes has left unremained. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm your host, Bryan, the Hype Ballard, and we're going to get into the Cody Rhodes challengers of his first reign and how the past can affect that, but how the past is going to lead to the present, and the present is going to lead to the future of this modern era of the WWE. So join me along the ride, and we're going to get in to the most known challengers. So when we start out, we want to start out with the Cody Rhodes and the story that it's been. Back prior to WrestleMania, actually WrestleMania making his debut in the surprise return against Seth Rollins. And while it would be easy, and he had an amazing Hell in a Cell follow-up matchup with Seth Rollins with that torn pectoral that we all seen, Cody fought his way back from that injury, leading into WrestleMania 39, where he won the Royal Rumble prior to that and getting the right for a championship match only to fall up short. And then we got the Summer of Brock in that program with Cody, which then led to a second Royal Rumble win and a sweet chance at taking down the Bloodline, in which he was super successful at WrestleMania 40 in the main event, and one of the help of the WWE Universe, as we mentioned in a past video right here, that ultimately talked about The Undertaker and The Rock and the whole WWE Universe being saved. And Cody Rhodes was the center of that in the next era. So let's get into the first opponent. While Seth Rollins would make sense as an opponent, he could be on this list, but we're going to omit him on that case because Seth's going to take some time off, but I do believe they do have a rubber match coming up. So when you think of past, you got to think of how can we tie in the past of Cody Rhodes to build his future. Well, on SmackDown, there's going to be a match between LA Knight and AJ Styles to determine Cody's first #1 contender for his Universal Championship. And it will be AJ Styles that takes the victory, leading into a good heel versus face classic moment at Backlash in France. Ultimately, we have to look at AJ Styles' past in the Bullet Club, or simply in the WWE version, The Club. And if you guys remember, Cody Rhodes was a member of the club, not really a member, but kind of a member. So Cody Rhodes has a little bit of a club dabbling. And if you look here, you got the Bullet Club, and the WWE may want to tap into this history. However, there is a little caveat to that, and we want to make sure we don't mention all the Bullet Club past members. So yeah, here's the Young Bucks. We gotta cancel them out, and here. And, Kenny Omega definitely here. And maybe a little down here. But ultimately, I think we're safe now, as we're good here and here with the Good Brothers. And then, of course, AJ Styles, we're good here. And, hey, is that Tama Tonga? Okay, he's cool. So, we're going to just go ahead and say maybe we want to introduce the Club versus Cody in a little bit of a first rivalry in his championship defense. And we know AJ Styles can go in the ring and create a great match with Cody, leading for a first strong defense. But let's move on to the next venture here in Cody's past, and that's simply the legacy. And if you guys remember, well, first of all, do you remember when Randy Orton held doves in his hands? I do. It was like Unforgiven 2008 cover. I used to love that shot. But ultimately, then to now, we go back from legacy from 2008 to 2010 with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton and Ted DiBiase Jr. And they culminated at a WrestleMania 26 triple threat match. But that was then, and this is now. And Randy Orton is doomed to have a quick turn on Cody at any time. Even though they are temporarily friends, you cannot wit the Viper and his heel turns. So ultimately, we could have another matchup leading us through the spring or even the summer, leading in towards the fall with a Randy Orton legacy type vibe feud, which would give Cody two solid opponents about his past. And then we could also have the next challenger, the final boss, to come back to haunt WrestleMania 40 in Cody. And while The Rock will get his due and get his match, it will be a little shortcoming due to possibly Roman Reigns coming to spoil the championship win for The Rock. And since he didn't help him get the job done at WrestleMania 40, it would be a little payback leading into a bloodline explosion between the High Chief and the Tribal Chief. Now we're going to get into our other, leading summer matches. But first, I just want to say, hey guys, if you like wrestling, hit that like button. Greatly helps out the channel. It greatly helps you see other great wrestling content. Also, hit subscribe and consider that if you're new. But thank you for coming back. I want to say thanks to my partners over at fansofprowrestling.com, the Wrestling Fans Insight, and also Ted from Ted's Takes, part of that group as well. And Ted, I got to give him credit here. He came up with a Cody who he would like to see challengers video prior to WrestleMania. And I got to say, it was very eerie. Him and I were really on the same wavelength here on a lot of things. So go check out his channel. He's got some great quick takes. Ultimately, this next contender is going to be in his prime for a championship matchup. See what I did there? Ultimately, we will have Logan Paul getting into the main event picture temporarily like he did with Roman. But only, it is going to be kind of connected to Saudi Arabia again, with the King and Queen of the Ring ultimately coming back this year on May 25th in 2024. Logan Paul simply could win the King of the Ring, being the king of social media. And what does the King of the Ring get you? I have always said that the King of the Ring should lead to SummerSlam each year with a championship match, just like the Royal Rumble winner gets a spot at WrestleMania. So ultimately, while you could say that Logan Paul might not be a strong enough candidate to even challenge Cody, and while you're correct, SummerSlam does take place in Cleveland, Ohio, Logan Paul's hometown. But wait, there's more. What if I was to tell you that it would be a different kind of feud? Think of Lex Luthor and Superman, and where Logan Paul could ultimately create havoc for Cody Rhodes, being a social media influencer, and start peeling the curtain back and exposing Cody in a bad way, and making him and teaching him the lessons of being a great champion is just not in the ring, but it's also being a sports entertainer to the WWE universe and influencing the internet, just like Logan Paul has mastered in his career. But also to sweeten the pot, there's more. This is going to be sweeter than that Prime Energy drink, but ultimately, we could add it by having a brother added into the match, Jake Paul, Logan Paul's corner man in this case, for his championship matchup in their hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. Ultimately, Logan Paul, with Jake Paul in his corner, Jake Paul would be very hot in the summer, coming right off of a major boxing feud with former WWE and WWE Hall of Famer and former referee, Iron Mike Tyson. And while Mike Tyson and Jake Paul will just be finishing up their Saturday, July 20th Netflix boxing match, depending on how that goes for Jake Paul or Mike, I feel like they could have a little corner man time representing Cody Rhodes would be Mike Tyson, and Jake Paul would be Logan Paul's corner man in this one. But if you like the idea of brothers, well, I've got another challenger for you waiting in the shadows. Would be Dustin Rhodes, the brother of Cody Rhodes. Currently, Dustin's contract is set to be up in September of 2024 in AEW. And while they've had an amazing matchup in the past at Double or Nothing 2019, check it out if you have one match to watch tonight. But ultimately, that match was one of AEW's greatest matches, and the two brothers got to collide on a pretty good stage, but let's do a little bit more. What if Dustin Rhodes comes back around September, October in the fall of 2024 and helps out his brother Cody in maybe, let's say, War Games at Survivor Series? Or then that could flip to a Dustin Rhodes turn in which they would fight at the December pay-per-view that year, or even at the Rumble. So ultimately, while Dustin Rhodes versus Cody could happen at the Royal Rumble of 2025, that could lead into even a Rumble appearance by maybe Goldust. So possibly Goldust making a nice surprise appearance in the Royal Rumble match, but coming up a little bit short. But that would be saved again for the Rumble. And speaking of which, if you like Royal Rumble matches, well then our final top competitor here could be the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in WWE history at 666 days, Gunther. Gunther, the big man on top, ultimately could win the 2025 Royal Rumble after coming so close in the Final Four the last 2 years. Gunther ultimately could just take the cake and become the top Royal Rumble winner and go it all at WrestleMania 41 for Cody Rhodes' title. But wait, there's more. If you don't like the idea of him winning the Royal Rumble, well, there is Money in the Bank coming in July of 2024 in which Gunther could hold the briefcase and even enter and win the Royal Rumble with the first man that has a Royal Rumble match and a possible Money in the Bank option to cash in. And maybe if he doesn't win at Mania, he could cash in right away, right after. Kind of putting Cody at odd ends with this double challenger, so to speak. Well, guys, that's everything that I wanted to go. But let's get into our final thoughts right now. And here they are. Our final thoughts is Cody Rhodes' title reign this year is got to be strong and be built for the future. And the best way to do that is to tap into your past and tell a story. And I feel like the challengers we laid here out on Tap Out Talk are definitely going to do that for us. But wait, there's more. You hear that? So ultimately, Cody needs to also have a good variety of opponents leading into this year. That leads with the likes of AJ Styles, you know we can have a good match with. You know Randy Orton puts on a good match, and he could have a wrestling clinic with Gunther himself and also learn the ideas of social media influencing from Logan Paul. So each one of his heel villains to take on and challenge his title could teach him a lesson of what it's like to be a WWE Universal Champion in the modern era. And I believe that that is the final thought on Cody Rhodes' championship series. Guys, I'm going to head out of here. Thanks again so much for being a part of this. Comment down below, is there a challenger that you would like for the WWE to throw at Cody as well? I'd love to hear it from the Tap Out Talk universe. Thanks again. And always remember, it's not goodbye, it's just game over.